Alrighty, welcome to Confidential Cinema. I'm Henry Confidential. As you can see, got a baby face. Got that out of the way. First up, we have a debate, and it's going to be a great one because we had Cody and Caleb in our very first episode, and it was fun, but we all knew that Cody was going to destroy Caleb. This one's going to be interesting because we have my good buddy Jake and my good buddy Nazario. Nazario's never debated before, but I know he knows his stuff. So if he can be confident and he actually prepared, I think Jake might be in trouble, but we will see what we have in store for us. But first up, I want to talk to my two co-judges. First up, we have actually the person I just mentioned, Cody Newberry. He just competed, now he was going to judge. What do you think going into this match? Do you think we have an interesting one, or do you think it could be one-sided without showing your cards?
It's going to be real interesting. It's all going to come down to how close it is entering the speed round, or what do we call it?
Off the cuff.
Off the cuff. That's gonna make or break. If one competitor has a huge lead, I think he'll be okay. But if it's a speed round, it's close. It's gonna be a rough night.
There you go. That's an interesting input. So next up, we have a good buddy of all of ours, one of the nicest fellas around. He's the main guy over at Jukebox Trivia. He is a Brooklyn Vale. He's an interesting debater. He likes to talk about, have different various opinions, but now he's going to judge for us. Brooklyn, how do you feel going to this one in your judging skills and also the two competitors?
I'm genuinely curious as to how this is going to go. Nazario has always been a wealth of knowledge in this community, so I'm curious as to how he provokes his style and his opinion. Whereas Jake, we've gone at it before in trivia, but not in debates. But I'm curious to see what he does here against someone like Nazario.
Definitely. So yeah, we're all curious as well, and might as well just go ahead and get started. But before we do that, let's get a quick note from the players. Jake, you did a judging in our very first match. Now you get to compete. Do you think judging that first one is going to help you going into this, or do you think no matter what, it's all going to be the same?
A little bit, because I kind of know, I have more of an idea of what judges would kind of want to hear, so that kind of gives me an idea of how to debate, what to debate. And I think, yeah, it gives me a bit more luck when it comes to the debating, so we'll see what happens though. It could come up to just, if I'm lucky, if I know how to speak, because sometimes I forget.
Definitely. And Nazario, this is your first time ever entering a debate. We all know you know your stuff, but are you confident with your ability to speak English words right now?
Me not speaking so English so well.
Well, I guess we'll leave it.
I think that knowledge will come out. I'm pretty sure about the things I want to say, but it's all about getting your ducks in order, as they say. So we'll see.
Ducks in a row. But yes, I know exactly what you mean. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Our very first debate was chosen by Nazario. So we are going to get his question first. And it is the best live-action movie based on an animated property. So Nazario, this is your question. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second.
All right, so first
great.
up, we're going to have Jake tell us what you chose and give us a quick opening in 30 seconds.
So I've chosen the 2008 Wachowski film Speed Racer. As far as an adaptation goes, this is based off a Japanese anime TV show called Mac Go Go Go, and it was dubbed for English audiences and renamed Speed Racer. I think of anything that's been adapted, this is the quintessential adaptation of something that's animated into live action, and I think it absolutely is faithful and does exactly what the anime does.
All right, perfect. So we're going to go over to Nazario. Let us know your pick and give us a quick 30-second opening.
My pick, it's the 1998 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, which is adapted both from the cartoon adaptation from the 80s and from the original Mirage comics. And it's actually one of the best adaptations given the freedom they got as an independent film. And it manages to be actually both faithful to the original comic spirit and also the cartoon.
All right, nice, short, and sweet, so I like it. So with that said, the question is animated adaptation, so keep that in mind when you're doing your fight. Judges, be ready to listen up, and you guys are going to have 5 minutes starting now.
Okay, so big question, big problem right off the bat. You even admitted it there. You said it was more of an adaptation of the comic book, which is not an animated property. That's a
I
big
said
problem
both.
because it's more faithful to the comic book than it is the animated show. I mean, the animated show is for kids. It's lighthearted. There's jokes. It's very bright. The film is dark. The film is darker for darker audiences, which is a lot like
The film is
comic
not dark.
books.
The film is the right amount of dark and the right amount of funny. It is a mixture of both spirit because it wants to embrace the spirit of the original comic as well as the cartoon. It has the different color bandanas and the different personalities from the cartoon. That's not from the original comic. And the original comic was black and white, and then they were all red. And in itself, it's a very entertaining film. And kids from that era, not like the kids from now who have a lot of sanitized product, that everything has to be strictly clean to be G. It's a movie that embraces a little bit of its darkness, a little bit of the a more adult spirit, but it's still fun for kids. In the case of Speed Racer, you're already talking about an adaptation of an adaptation. So it's already the Wachowski's kind of adaptation of the English version of the original anime. And
It's
it's a
still
little
the same story, though. It's still the same characters.
No,
Well,
have you
yeah,
ever seen the original? If you've seen the original subtitles, you see there are differences in the way they structure the movies. Every time they bring the animes to America, they always edit and sanitize things to make it more appealing, like for American consumers. And this is already an adaptation of an adaptation. Besides that, it also has issues because they try to figure out how to explain things that were not explained in the cartoon, like the stunt racing part with the giant bubbles that come out when the racers crash to protect them so nobody dies. And
So
that's
what's wrong
just
with
dumb.
people dying? It's just part of the universe. It's world building. I like that. I like the fact that they set up these things and set up the characters and set up the technology. It makes the universe and the film more believable in that setting. The problem with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is that film is cheap. That film is very cheap. I think it had like a very small budget. It's also dark looking. The cinematography is just terrible. You can barely see anything going on. Even the suits. The big thing about your film is the suits. They do not look real. They look
Come on.
terrible. They
Those
look
are
shit.
the
They were
best
made.
animated
Oh,
suits ever. And they did it on an
absolutely not.
independent budget because no studio
was-
wanted.
So
anymore.
the suits were made by Jim Henson's production
Yeah.
company, and they
They
look
were.
like they were made in an hour. They look like they were made in an hour. They look terrible. You can, in fact, in a couple of shots, you can see the actors in the faces when the mouth is too wide up. You can see them. It's like I've lost interest in the universe. I've lost the believability in this film. The Speed Racer knows what it is. It just goes with it. The energy, the frenetic energy, the editing, the composition of the races. There's so much energy and so much style going on. It's so Wachowskis could have been the only directors to make a Speed Racer film because they know how to do adaptations. They love anime. Did you see The Matrix? They took a lot of anime influences like Akira and added that into their own universe with The Matrix. They've done practically the same thing here with Speed Racer by having these animated qualities, these animated shows, and basically turning it into its own thing. Also paying respectful.
I think
to the
you might be
original
thinking
source
about the math and the animation from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which was crap. But the first one was created by Jim Henson, the original mask, and they were actually very good and very real. Everything is going to have a little bit of mistakes here and there. And if we talk about mistakes, I mean, just the idea of the original Speed Racer movie that they made, they are trying to appeal to children with an anime which originally was meant for multiple ages. And
1 minute remaining.
They simplified the story to a point that it didn't become appealing to anybody. If you see the box office returns for Speed Racer, that was supposed to launch a series and it just died on the first movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, being an independent film, actually
Yeah, it's film
had
2 and
two
3, which are
sequels
terrible with
and
Vanilla
one hit.
Ice.
What?
Your film was apparently successful, which is apparently is a good film. I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is a great film. That didn't make its money back. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles made its money back, and then it had Vanilla Ice in the sequel, and then they went back in time in the third one.
Yeah, but we're not
which
talking
didn't
about
need
the
to happen.
I'm talking about the original. I'm just talking about the original. And also, I mean, they wanted to bring part of the story with the original brother from the main character in Speed Racer, which I don't know the English name is Meteoro in
Racer
Español.
X.
Right, yeah. And trying to make a twist out of it, like, he might be my brother, he might not be my brother, and it's a really dumb twist in the movie.
But it subverts
That and the
expectations
movie-
because halfway through the film you think he is, and then it turns out it is, and then the end it turns out he
Time.
was. It subverts
Time.
expectations.
Come on.
All right, so that was really good. So all my confidence in Nazario is really good. Whether what the debate is going on, his actual abilities to debate is really good. So going into that, yes, confidence is right there. So that's what I like. So since Nazario let Jake go first, we're gonna go with Jake right now for his closing 30 seconds. Whenever you get a chance.
Okay, so I would guarantee there is no other film like Speed Racer. From the cinematography, the style, the editing, the transitions, and some really creative and inventive transitions. There is no other film like Speed Racer that I can think of, at least anyone can think of. There are like so many cheaply made superhero movies that are very small budget, like Meteor Man, Blank Man, Defender, Mystery Men, Condor Man, and most of those films were in the 90s where Teenage Mutant came out.
All right, Nazario, whenever you get a chance, your final 30 seconds.
This wasn't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was an independent movie. If you find some flaws on it, it's just because it was very made, like you said, on a cheap budget. But that doesn't make it wasn't a good story, and it wasn't a solid script. I dare you to find more people who actually remember and love Speed Racer as much as people love the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It's on a franchise. Yeah, the sequels were crap, but it's not the fault of the original intent of the movie. And honestly, Speed Racer was kind of dumb. The story was way too simplified for kids. It didn't hold the spirit of the original cartoon anyway.
Alrighty, so with that was a lot of fun. Congratulations, Nazario. He got his debating cherry out, so this is going to be interesting. I want to go to my co-host, my veteran. I'm going to start with Cody. What is your thoughts in the debate, and also who are you picking?
I'm slightly terrified to face Nazario now because that was really good. He presented it really well, but it could have been his own question. The main thing it had to break down to, I think Nazario captured the question the best, even though Jake tried to battle semantics, which he's pretty good at if you give him a chance to. But I have to give it to, he didn't really bring up Speed Racers, any of the stuff that they really brought off after the opening. And Nazario kept hitting what they did well and what they brought over and tackled Speed Racer, and it's what it brought. So I have to give the first point to Nazario.
All right, first point to Nazario from Cody. Brooklyn, this is your first time judging with me, so let me hear your thoughts.
First off, I apologize in advance. My dog Molly might have some hot takes, so she'll probably disagree with me. But I actually completely agree with Cody. Nazario tackled that question beautifully, and I think he played defense really well. He was able to critique how Speed Racer is essentially an adaptation of an adaptation, how it got Americanized, and I think what Jake's problem is he got focused on like the filmmaking of the film, like the photography, the lighting, and all this, and how it was kind of cheap. But like you got to think about it, like TMNT was from the 90s, so I'm giving my point to Nazario.
All right, and I will agree as well. I think that Jake's experience in the debating is the only reason it was pretty close, but I think Nazario really hit home, and this is a 3-0 sweep for me as well. But going into the next question, as Cody said, that might have just been because that was Nazario's question, so we will definitely see. So first point to Nazario.
Can I say one thing?
Maybe.
That was extremely difficult because actually I love Speed Racer. It's a great film. So fuck it.
Yeah, I watched it the other day and I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what I like to hear. All right, second question. This one was Jake's question, and it is, what is the worst Bond movie? So Jake, would you like to go first or second?
I'm deferring.
All right, so Nazario, go ahead.
Okay, my pick for the worst James Bond movie is Die Another Day. That movie is just ridiculous. It killed the Pierce Brosnan style of Bond movie. It was trying to be something, two things at the same time. It wanted to be a modern adaptation of Bond, and it also wanted to be a goofy version like the Roger Moore movies in the 70s and 80s, and it didn't work on any level. It's just horrible.
All right, short and sweet. Once again, I like it. All right, Jake, when you get a chance, go ahead and start. Let us know what you got.
I'm going with Daniel Craig's second turn as James Bond, and that is 2008's Quantum of Solace. This is from French filmmaker Marc Forster, who before this had made dramas, and you can tell this is his first action film because the editing is so terrible during the action sequences. It's bland, it's generic storyline, the characters are boring, and you don't even know who the villain is for the majority of the film, and it's such a convoluted plot.
All right, again, short and sweet, so that's what I like. All right, so as we know, the question is worst Bond movie, so 5 minutes whenever you guys start.
I think Quantum of Solace is not actually a bad movie. I just think it's a disappointing movie. If you look at it in Rotten Tomatoes, it's actually a fresh film, and it's the problem is it was trying to be several things at the same time. It was trying to be a sequel to Casino Royale, and it was trying to be a brand new story. But I think it's the first time they make a direct sequel to a Bond movie, and it kind of felt over. It had too many things going on at the same time. In Die Another Day, it's just ridiculous. I mean, the movie starts with Bond being captured in a prisoner of war and then tortured for 14 months. And when he finally gets out, the first thing they do is remove his 00 status and start thinking he may have betrayed Britain. I mean, this is
I think he's a double agent.
Yeah, I mean,
They
it's been
explain it in
20
the film that they think
months.
he's a double agent.
It's dumb to think
Can
at
you
this
explain
age
the
we're
plot
gonna
for me
question
for
the
Quantum of
James
Solace? Can you explain the plot for me in Quantum of Solace? Because from what I know from Die Another Day, the villain has a satellite that can shoot laser. Okay, this is very Bond-esque. This is very Bond villains. I don't exactly know what the villain is trying to do in Quantum of Solace. He's trying to steal water.
Natural resources, man.
That's a very Bond villain. When I think of Bond villain, I think, yeah, he's gonna steal water.
When you think of Bond villains, do you think ice castles?
Absolutely. I think of amazing erotic set pieces. I think of exotic set pieces. Not that type of Bond film. I think of exotic set pieces. I think of amazing action sequences. Do you forget the car chase on ice where Zhao's got his own Bond gadget-filled car chase? That car chase is amazing. One of the best sequences in any Bond film. The part where the car flips and misses the missile. One of the most iconic Bond shots in any film. You really want to consider that part of the worst Bond movie?
On a rocket off a cliff, being chased by a satellite laser with a sunbeam, and then he surfs a tsunami. And
you forget the part in Man with the Golden Gun where the car does a flip in real life. The Bond films have been like that. They're not exactly They're not exactly Jason Bourne. They're not going for realism. They're going for crazy action set pieces. This is what Bond is filled with. Quantum of Solace.
Modern, and they wanted to be classic like Moonraker and things in the 80s and doing this kind of thing, but it doesn't really make sense. Why would the villain make a gigantic ice castle to destroy it with his own machine just to drown Jinx and Bond? That does not make sense.
It's so successful because it ate off the success of doing a Bond crazy over-the-top action. Bond is all for that. Quantum of Solace is a Jason Bourne ripoff. It came out a year after Bourne Ultimatum, and it's going for the quick-cut action. There's nothing to do with Bond. There's no Moneypenny. There's no gadgets. There's no Q. The Bond villain is terrible and just bland. You don't really understand his character. There's nothing to him. He just gets a fake. There is absolutely nothing here that makes it a James Bond film. This is Mark Frost's attempt to make a Jason Bourne movie, and he's doing such a terrible job because he doesn't understand the character of James Bond.
That was the second movie in what is now going to be 5 films with Daniel Craig. It keeps on the spirit. If not, it is the weakest one of the series. I even think it's weaker than Spectre. But at the same time, it kind of flows with what Daniel Craig was portraying. The thing of trying to be realistic and trying to be more Bourne-like, it's not something that came from Quantum of Solace. It came from Casino Royale. It's the new age of action.
Casino Royale still has Bond elements, like the Bond villain, the Bond henchman, the Bond music, the cinematography, the way the shots are composed. I mean, it was directed by Martin Campbell, Casino Royale, who directed GoldenEye. He made 2 of the best Bond films. That has nothing to do with the fact that Quantum of Solace is a different, overtly style because it's a different director. He's trying to do something else that's completely different to what James Bond is. And I like the over-the-top. That's what makes James Bond so interesting. Do you forget Moonraker? Do you forget The Spy Who Loved Me? Do you forget the fact that these villains are so campy and over the top that's the whole point of them? The henchman of Die Another Day has diamonds in his face. That's an intriguing, creative henchman for a villain. I don't know what the hell the henchman in Quantum of Solace is. Like, I don't even. He's just a generic guy who does nothing.
Tell me, who's the evil person in Die Another Day? Who's the villain? And how he got to work?
Gustav Graves, who's actually General Moon, who had plastic surgery to change his face. That's what villains are. That's what villains are. Do you forget that Ernest Albert Blofeld did that in Diamonds Are Forever? He made copies of himself. This is what makes Bond interesting.
It's not even fun. Campy has to be fun first. To be campy, you need to be fun first, and this movie is just not fun. It's
Die Another Day is fun. Die Another Day is fun. Halle Berry as Jinx. I mean, come on, that is amazing. Rosamund Pike as the Bond girl, or one of the Bond girls, as you see later on.
Just bro, so obviously it's not gonna be evil. Come on.
And time. Time. All right. So since Jake let Nazario go first, we're going to go with Nazario for his closing. 30 seconds when you start.
Like I said, Quantum of Solace may be a disappointing movie, but it's not a bad movie. Die Another Day is a bad movie. It's a bad Bond movie. It tries to be campy and it tries to be serious at the same time, and none of it works. The plot makes no sense. The DNA modifying thing makes no sense. And I would rather put, if you put 5 people in a room, I think more want to see Quantum of Solace again before Die Another Day. The song sucks too.
All right. Then, Jake.
I love Madonna.
Jake, whenever you're ready.
You said that like that's what Bond is. I mean, he's done way more campier, way more crazier stuff. Like Moon Knight, he goes into space. You forget the fact that's what makes Bond interesting is the set pieces and the situations that he gets himself in. Quantum of Solace has none of the charm. It has nothing to do with James Bond. I feel if you take away James Bond and replace him with generic spy action guy, it has nothing to do with James Bond, and it loses everything that makes James Bond special. Nothing about Quantum of Solace is interesting.
And
it was rushed
time.
together. It had nothing to do with James Bond.
Alrighty. So that was a really good debate. And once again, congratulations, Nazario. He's officially a debater now, regardless of the results.
Good debate.
Yes, he's definitely a debater now. So comment below and let us know if he should continue, because his confidence going in was not high, but I think he's proved his point. But with that being said, I'm going to go with Jake on this one fairly easily, because he is able to... I didn't really get anything that was good of Quantum of Solace for Nazario. I just got why it wasn't as bad and why it fit the flow, but I didn't really get why it was good, where Jake was able to say why the campiness and the destruction and the Bond-esque like style was, like classic style, was working in Die Another Day. So I'm going with Jake fairly easy on this one. Brooklyn, what do you got?
There. I'm going to give my point to Jake as well. I think he balanced attack and defense quite well, whereas Nazario even himself said Quantum of Solace is the worst of the Daniel Craig series. And for me, that's a big no-no. Like, if you're gonna shit on a Die Another Day, you got to tell me, like, Quantum of Solace is great. I didn't hear that from Nazario, so my point goes to Jake.
Doug doesn't agree.
Right, there's his hot takes. All right, real quick from Cody, would you have agreed with us or disagreed?
100% agree. I hate when, I know offense to Nazario, I hate when you shoot your own argument with the Quantum of Solace thing, but I put, Jake got pissed after losing the first point. He came out for blood, and I put KO because I thought he knocked him out. It was just, he listed so many things.
Yep.
So, yeah, I have to give it to Jake.
All right, so
I would lose all credibility as a James Bond fan if I didn't get that one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this is where it's going to be fun. This is the blind fight. Once again, I don't have a good name for it, but we're just going to go with it. So, with this weekend's release of Battle at Good Time at the El Royale, Bad Time at the El Royale, I keep forgetting what it's called. But with that being said, we're gonna let Jake pick first, because he's technically the favorite because he has more experience. But the questions is going to be after I tell you. Pick a number 1 through 5, but just know it's going to pertain to Good Times at the Bad El Royale. I'm just going to call it that. So pick a number 1 through 5.
Lucky number 3.
3. And Nazario, pick 1 through 5. That's not 3.
4.
4. All right. So Jake, the question is, what movie character would make your bad time at the El Royale even worse? And Jake, you chose number 3, and that is Pennywise the Dancing Clown. And Nazario, you chose number 4, and I think this is going to make you happy. You chose Chucky. So, we're gonna get 30 seconds to start. Jake, you're gonna go first, or if you want, you're technically the favorite, so you can choose. Do you want to go first or second?
Deference has done me well, so I'm gonna let Nazario go.
All right, so actually, Nazario, you're gonna go first. 30 seconds on why Chucky is gonna make your time at the El Royale even worse. Whenever you start.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, people going to El Royale are already iffy characters, and they are just trying to hide away and get a break from all the problems they are bringing in. And you're gonna find Chucky in it, who's just gonna be fucking annoying you. He's probably gonna be threatening you to kill you at night, and you're just gonna look at him like, fucking doll, man, get the fuck out of here. I'm a serious killer. I'm somebody who has actually means something, and you're gonna be coming here with your quips and your shit, maybe bothering me at night, holding my fucking legs or trying to make me believe you're a kid. Nah, come on. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, great start. Oh, blind fights are just happen to be the comedy round, and I'm loving it. So, Jake, whenever you start.
So when you go to a hotel, what do you usually do when you're at the hotel? You usually want to stay there for a couple of days, peace, calm, relaxing. Oh, and you don't, because there's a fucking clown that's annoying you, making shitty jokes and trying to rip your soul out if you're a kid. I mean, it doesn't exactly help when he's a demon. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, it's short and sweet. So, the blind fights are going to be a little different. We're only going to do 4 minutes because there's nothing to prepare and that there's more chance of rambling and a lot of empty space.
Yeah.
So 4 minutes whenever you guys start.
I mean, the thing that feeds Pennywise is that the fear. You think anybody's going to be afraid of him? If you ignore him just enough, he's just going to disappear because he has nothing to feed on. So a lot of killers are going to be in the hotel. A lot of people who actually have some value to their meaningful lives. You think they're going to be afraid of a guy dressing as a fucking clown? At least Chuck is going to be annoying. You cannot get rid of him by ignoring him. He's just going to be there laughing with his annoying laugh and looking to do something.
I feel if you're a psychopath and you're at the El Royale, there's a lot of bad people at the El Royale, so of course they're going to relate to Chucky. Chucky's a serial killer, and most of the characters at El Royale are serial killers, so I feel they understand him and they would get him on a certain level. So not only would they have great times, they'd be smoking weed, they'd be just having an ASO time, they would walk around the hotel killing people. They would have a jolly good time with Chucky. Chucky's a funny character. Do you forget the fact that he ripping jokes? And he's also still human, so they can still relate to Chucky. You can't relate to Pennywise. Pennywise is gonna fucking annoy you. I'm gonna have a worse time with a demonic entity trying to kill you more than just a human in a Chucky doll. I mean, there's an obvious comparison. There's an obvious worse of the two, and I'd rather go with the human inside a doll than the demonic entity where I have no idea where the hell he came from, that fear of the unknown. Of course you're going to be afraid. Everybody's afraid of something. You're afraid of something. I'm afraid of something. We all have a fear, and he is able to get that fear out of you, and he's able to embrace it, and he's going to kill you. I'd rather have a 25% chance of dying with Chucky than a 100% dying with Pennywise, when he's just going to manipulate you with fear.
Man. He dresses as a fucking clown. That scares
You're thinking of the Tim Curry one.
He does not work on a psychopath. You're gonna see a fucking clown, they're just gonna ignore him. He's just gonna fucking annoy you. With Chucky, I mean, come on, how many times can you hear the same story? He's gonna keep saying, I just need to find Andy, I just need to find a kid so I can go back into my fucking body. And he's gonna bore you to that too with that shit. I mean, how are you gonna relate to a doll? He's like, yeah, you remember that time that I almost died and I used voodoo to get into a doll? No, nobody can relate to that shit.
Isn't that cool though? Isn't that awesome?
And then
just imagine at the camp, when it's like a camp thing where they're talking about the stories, and Chucky has a killer story talking about, oh yeah, back in '88, I I put out my soul into a doll. He's just so many great stories, so many times about killing people. If you can get to Chucky on his level, he won't kill you. If you're convinced that you're a psychopath, he ain't gonna kill you. Pennywise, you can't reason with him.
Pennywise can turn into different stuff. If even for the entertainment,
what
you can just like, what do you want me to be? A hot woman? I can be a hot woman. Do you want me to be a fucking horse? I will turn into a fucking horse. Chucky's still gonna be a doll.
Chucky is
Chucky's
real.
gonna be a
He's
doll.
reality.
Everything.
Pennywise is not only reality, he's fantasy. He is a living nightmare. Why would I want to be at the El Royale with a demonic entity?
Chucky's dumb.
It's okay. Tell me what is good about Pennywise. Why would it be okay with him at the El Royale?
I don't know. In the least form, he could just entertain people by turning into different things. He has the ability to do that. He doesn't have to be a fucking clown. He's
not going to be friends with you. He's trying to get your soul. How would he be friends with you? Why would he just change into whatever you wanted? He's going to turn into what you fear the most. How are you going to reason with an entity like that? Who's older than the universe?
These people are fearless. They are psychopaths. They are sociopaths. What is he going to turn into?
So they are psychopaths, so they can still relate with Chucky and still hang out with him. Is that what you're admitting?
Nah, I'm saying that Chucky's a dumb doll that's gonna tell you the same fucking story every single time about the time that he turned into a doll with voodoo magic. And he has done that and looking for a kid to turn back into
time. All right, so that was entertaining, and I can't wait for blind fights all season. So
I'm curious to see how people vote this one.
yeah, so we're gonna start off with Nazario. We got a lot from you, so get a quick 30 seconds or however long you want, because obviously you guys don't care about 30 seconds all the time. So whenever you're ready.
Pennywise feeds on fear. The only way that makes him menacing if he feeds with your fear and turns into something that scares you. If you're in a room full of killers and psychopaths, you cannot feed off anything because they won't fear you. His basic form is a clown, which doesn't really work because adults are rarely scared of clowns as kids are. So he's just gonna be meaningless. Chucky is gonna be fucking annoying. That's the difference, and you cannot get rid of him by just ignoring him because he's gonna still be there.
All right, and Jake, whenever you start.
I'd rather annoying than something that can kill you with fear, with your own internal fear that can take you from the itty bitty place in your heart and rip it out and just destroy you internally, in reality or fantasy. The thing is that if you're in a hotel in the middle of nowhere and you just find yourself with this entity that can turn into anything, that shapeshift, that can turn into any sort of scary creature that fears you the most, I'm going to be shitting myself. I'm going to have a worse time with that than just a human in a doll.
All right, so I'm going to start.
Kill children.
That was after the clock. So we're going to strip that from the record. But with that being said, Brooklyn, I'm going to start off with you.
Jake gets my point purely because he used one of my favorite tactics in calling your opponent's bluff when he's like, tell me why Pennywise would be great, and Nazario whiffed on it. I thought Jake was more convincing as to why Chucky would be good at the El Rey.
All right, and Cody, what is your pick?
Not a shocker. I disagree with Brooklyn entirely. I can't wait to face Jake with his questions that he asked because it can bite you in the ass. And I don't think that was. I think his closing sold it. I'd give my point to Nazario.
And I'm gonna go. Although Nazario at the last minute said that he only feeds on children, and that could have backfired because he didn't bring it up. I do feel like that Jake was off to a really slow start with this Pennywise. I think it took him too long to really get into the vibe, and he started earning points for me at the end. But I think Nazario from start to finish was just getting it with the annoying thing, and then the fact that like Jake never said you can just kick it away or just like kill it or something because they're all killers. I didn't really get enough from him on that, so I'm going with Nazario as well. And a huge shock, Nazario goes up 2-1 in this debate, and that's
a huge shock.
Well, just given his inexperience in debating specifically. But with that said, it is 2-1 going into the main event, and this one is fun for me because it's a nice vague question, but also we got answers that are totally different and not two answers that you would expect given the question. So the main event of today is, what is the best movie that takes place in space? Because First Man is coming out this weekend, so we're talking about space. And since Nazario, you are in the lead, I'm going to give you the option to go first or second.
I'm going to go second.
All right, second is obviously the favorite. So, Jake, give us 30 seconds to talk about your pick and a quick point of why it's the best movie that takes place in space.
It may be the most obvious choice, but I think there is some merit as to why. I mean, there is some standard, and there's a reason why we call it the best, or one of the best films of all time, and that is Stanley Kubrick's film from 1968, 2001: A Space Odyssey. As far as one of the most technically innovative films of the 20th century, it portrayed space unlike any other film at that point. It did for space what Citizen Kane did for filmmaking. It totally revolutionized how we see it.
All right, Nazario, let us know your pick and give us a little reasons why it's the best movie that takes place in space.
Well, I'm not gonna go so obvious. I'm just gonna go with the best for me, which is WALL-E. It's a 2008 Pixar film made for children, but appeals to everybody about how we should be careful what we do with our Earth because we may not have it forever. And the bulk of the film takes place in space, but it's mainly about conservation of Earth, and it's good for all ages and a very timeless film.
All right, so this one, hopefully you guys prepared the most because it's the main event, and you guys also are on an even playing field. So 5 minutes whenever you guys start.
I don't know. When Jake picks 2001, it's like anybody asking what's the best film of all time and saying Citizen Kane. It's a very obvious answer, but It
But
also
there's a
has.
reason why we do that, because it is such an influential film. You look at Space beforehand, you had something just as crappy that was a black and white, like Lost in Space. It was very bland, the wide shots just did not look realistic. You look at 2001, it's pan screen, it's wide, the amazing cinematography, the visuals, the music, it all cultivates into what space feels like. Your film is just a simple love story. Andrew Stanton said it himself. This film simply is a love story. There is, if you take away space from Wall-E, it is still feels tonally and still is Wall-E. If you take away space in 2001, A Space Odyssey, you do not get 2001, A Space Odyssey.
If you take a space out of Space Odyssey, you got nothing. That movie is almost 3 hours long, and it feels like 6 hours long. The average moviegoer does not appreciate all the fine details that you are taking from 2001: A Space Odyssey. I know it's a classic. I know it's a good film, but at the same time, it doesn't have broad appeal to make it accessible to everyone.
It doesn't even have broad appeal to make it a good
people
film.
will find the movie that it takes 40 minutes to even get started with a plot that is not even the point, because the plot of that movie is just basically something there to justify the visuals and justify the music. In Wall-E, it's a fable. It's a fable of a little love story of how can love save the world. It's also an achievement because it also has about 25 more minutes of silence in the beginning, and it doesn't bore kids. It doesn't lose the audience. It's all about
There's
mannerisms.
dialogue in those 26 minutes.
Which is actually better because it's animated. So it's just being transmitted in animation. It's not live action. And then when they finally go to space and the movie takes its plot seriously, which is why are we living in this earth filled with trash, with so much trash of the things we throw away that it makes buildings and mountains out of trash that we need to conserve and save it. The answer is not.
You're talking about if you're talking about overpollution, I don't hear anything about what makes it about space though. You're talking about the Earth. It's nothing to do with it being taking place in space. Wall-E is just an average Pixar movie. It tells the exact same love story that we've seen in other rom-coms before. Oh, the odd couple. Oh, he's different. She's different. Oh, they're going to be in love together. We've seen those type of stories before, and especially if you're an older audience member, you're going to just be like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen When Harry Met Sally. I've seen Sleepless in Seattle. I don't need to see this love story done in an animated film for kids, okay? I'm not a kid anymore. I didn't like it when I was a kid. It's not for kids. It's for kids, but it's not for anyone else. You look at the film, the keywords I think of when I think of Wall-E, I think of robots, I think of love story, I think of consumerism, I think of environment. I do not really think of space. Space is like the last of the keywords I think about when I think of Wall-E.
The answer is not going to space to escape from your problems. You have to find a way to solve it. And also then 2001 is for who? I mean, who is picking a movie between everything he gets? You know what? I feel like watching 2001 today. That is a movie for students. That is a film school student when you can learn techniques,
is just
learn
for kids.
framing, cinematography, music. Yes, but you have to use all these skills into a movie that appeals to a general audience. And Wall-E appeals to everybody. Appeals to children. Appeals to parents.
Wall-E
and
appeals to the
also,
average
it
audience.
appeals 6 hours long.
So what you're saying is Wall-E appeals to the average audience, the 100 IQ.
It appeals to everyone. Yours is an elitist film that just appeals to a 5% of the audience.
So what? That doesn't mean anything. It's about the best, not the most appealing. What is the one where the most popular? Okay, this isn't the Oscars. Okay, this is where the most popular award. Okay, this film 2001 defines space.
Best,
1 minute remaining.
The thing about Wall-E, the thing about 2001: Space Odyssey is that you would not have Wall-E the way space is portrayed without 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it influenced every single science fiction film after 2001 had come out, because it had such an impact on the world. That's how it reached an audience. Okay, you don't forget that just because you see the movie, its influence goes into our culture. It goes into everyone's mindset and existence, because we know every detail about that film. From Monolith, the bone crushing with the ape, HAL 9000. You would not have Otto without HAL 9000.
Nah.
Really? The red dot, the AI artificial intelligence, you're really saying that Otto would exist even if HAL 9000? HAL 9000 is cold, menacing, that monotone voice. You cannot find another villain influenced by
and
HAL 9000.
time. All right, Nazario, let Jake go first. So we're gonna start off with Jake on your closings. 30 seconds.
The thing about Wally is that we've seen these these romance films before. We've seen The Odd Couple. Harold and Maude did it before. The Odd Couple. 2001: A Space Odyssey defines space in movies. The beauty, the complexity, the scale, the sound. It deals with big themes about human existence, the search for the unknown, all things that are space, the reason we are here, the meaning of life, the monolith giving us the evolution and the intelligence with the bone, one of the greatest jump cuts in all time from bone to space station. It defines humanity.
All right, Nazario, 30 seconds.
Wally is a timeless story that gives you hope. It's appealing to everybody. It reaches every corner. There are movies that try to do what 2001 does, and to me do it better. Solaris is an example that I prefer over 2001 because I think it's a more interesting story, and it doesn't take 6 fucking hours to do it. Also, Wally appeals to kids, appeals to adults, appeals to everybody, and it's very rewatchable, and you can enjoy it a little bit more every time you see it.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna start off with me. I want to do a quick fact check. The Odd Couple, not necessarily a romance film. It's more of like a buddy movie. So I just.
I'm talking about the trope, the Odd Couple romance.
I was just making sure. I just wanted that to be clear. Where it's like, I didn't know. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about. You were just going off the names. But with that being said, so for the first half. Well, let me start. For the first minute, I think Jake was just off to a start and Nazario had his back against the wall. But then Nazario really came back and it started to become even until about the final minute. And then Jake just once again took off. So I don't know if that was a plan where he's like here, and then here, or if that's just how the debate naturally progressed. But I'm going with Jake on this one towards the end pretty fairly easily. We're going to start off with Cody. We're going to go next with Cody. What do you think?
Jake was kind of like me last week. Your back's against the wall, you're down 2-1, and you pretty much bring everything you can. Even though I agree with, I'm not a big fan of 2001. I agree with Nazario, but I think Jake's just able to throw a lot when he's really passionate about a film. So you almost have to counteract that, and I don't think Nazario would have the chance because when he gave him the question, he's like, no, and that was pretty much a knockdown. So, Jake.
All right, so Jake's going to tie it up. Quick thoughts. Brooklyn, do you agree with us or do you disagree?
Jake had us. He won it with the HAL 9000 comment, how you don't guess whatever his name is from Wally. But yeah, very simply, Jake gets it.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I don't think we got enough examples from Nazario why it appeals to raw eyes. He just kept saying that vaguely, so I think that might have helped him a little bit there. But we are 2-2 going into time to go off the cuff. So with that said, this is a speed round-like question or round. So until we are fully familiar with the term off the cuff, I'm going to have to explain them. So sorry if anybody's listening and they're offended by saying those words. But with that being said, alrighty, so off the cuff time. This first one is going to be an open-ended, so I'm going to read it and just yell at your answer whenever you're ready. Gentlemen, you ready?
No, but yes.
Okay, first question. Other than Jack Black, who would you rather have lead your Goosebumps series?
Christopher Walken.
Okay.
Jeff Goldblum.
Ooh, we got some interesting classic decisions. So we're got Nazario first. 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
The thing with Christopher Walken is the way he speaks and projects. He's creepy and weird, and at the same time, he will be giving you the stories for Halloween for children and making it creepier and weird, even if the story itself is lame. You see?
All right, you got 10 seconds. All right, so that could be a rookie mistake, so let's see if that bites him in the ass. Jake, Jeff Goldblum, whenever you're ready.
You pitched more of a house with the clock in its walls type of movie. The thing about Jeff Goldblum is that he's always peculiar and is excited about anything that is scary and creepy. I think that'd be more of an interesting idea, is that Jeff Goldblum is just so like panicked by everything. It's like, that's a giant praying mantis, and then they'd just be running in the car being chased by the praying mantis. There's so many great ideas. You can get so many expressions out of Jeff Goldblum. Christian Walken's like 79. He'll be like, I need my heart medication.
All right, 15 seconds, Nazario, whenever you're ready.
The thing is that Jack Black is the author of the scary stories, and what is scarier than a freaky dude with scary stories for children? You see that guy in the corner, he's gonna freak you out. Even if he's gonna try to tell you stories about a doll that talks, you're not gonna care that much. You're gonna be already pissing your pants because of the guy telling you stories.
All right, Jeff Goldblum, final 15.
It's not about who's scary, it's about who's more reliable. I want Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he can be much more of a versatile actor. Christopher Walken. What are you going to do with Christopher Walken? Jeff Goldblum playing the new dad with his 2 sons and 1 daughter, moving next door to R.L. Stein's house, and then he's like, yeah, someone used to live there. Chaos Theory.
All right, so, this one is tough. You guys both did really
Terrible.
good. Oh my God.
Except for that last time.
So, Nazario, he started off only using 15 seconds or 20 seconds of his 30, and there was a chance that was going to bite him in the ass. But I got to say, I think he really just killed it with his opening and then just kept, a nice balance in his second half. And I think Jake did a really good job making it close, but I think Nazario just was too far ahead after that opening. So I'm going Nazario with the point. So I'm going to go next to Brooklyn.
I am also... Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think I often judge these in the rebuttal round, and I thought their rebuttals were kind of a wipe. Nazario gets it for his opening.
Wow, that's shocking for me because he didn't use all of his time, so I thought it might have been a rookie move, but I guess he was just so confident and worth doing it. Cody, would you have agreed with us?
I would have said use your last 10 seconds to attack Jake, but he didn't. But he was able to use it. Jake had the ability of just rambling at the end, and it just kind of bit him. So I have to give Nazario the point.
All right, so 3-2 Nazario. This is potential game point for Nazario, so this is going to be a good one. And I think this could bite someone in the ass. It couldn't, so let's see. Second question. This is another open-ended, so yell it out whenever you're ready. With the news of James Gunn potentially directing Suicide Squad 2, which Guardians member would best fit with the current Suicide Squad?
Guardians character?
Yeah, if you were to throw them in there.
Rocket.
Okay. And Jake?
Gamora.
Okay. All right. Nazario started off first, so 30 seconds or however, long you want. Whenever you're ready.
Rocket Raccoon has been engineered to be an efficient pilot and an efficient killer. He can be, if you let him go a little crazy, like he showed in the first movie, when he just gets out of control because he knows he's a creature that was built, he can go to the dark side rather easily. And for Jake's pick, I would have gone with Nebula. She's more of a assassin killer type than Gamora. Rocket's going to be more efficient. He's going to be small. He's going to fit in little places, and he's going to have all the technology to do amazing, crazy things with the squad.
All right, time. Jake, 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
If you think Nebula's a better choice, then why didn't you choose Nebula? Gamora is an assassin. I mean, I don't see Rocket joining the Suicide Squad. He's a talking raccoon, okay? Gamora is a tough assassin with a sword. You can do something with that type of character, that type of faded past with a strong kind of villain as her father, and deal with that sort of internalized anger, which you see in the film with their backstories of the characters. They all have dark backstories, and Gamora has a dark backstory. We don't get anything from Raccoon. He's a talking rocket.
Alrighty. Final 15 seconds from Nazario.
You're talking about animals. They already opened the doors with Killer Croc. I mean, Rocket Raccoon would fit right in there with all the crazy stuff. And Gamora, in the end, she's a good girl. I mean, she may play the bad girl and whatever, but in the end, she's just a softie. That's why she fell in love with Star-Lord. Rocket is crazy, man.
And time.
He was made.
All right, final 15 seconds, potentially for Jake. What do you got?
We already have Crazy. That's Harley Quinn and the Joker. Killer Croc is actually a human with a genetic mutation.
And time. I don't know if he wasn't saying anything there or if that was a lag.
I blanked.
Alrighty. So, Cody, we're going to start off with you.
I said it at the opening. I meant it what I said. I'm sorry, Nazario takes this handily. Nazario used so many counter punches, and he used the movie and everything like that. It was not even close. Nazario wouldn't take this point.
And regardless of what Brooklyn's going to say, and regardless of how much it breaks my heart because my team partner in trivia, I'm also going to go with Nazario and the win. Nazario 4-2 in his very first ever debate. Holy cow, how do you feel about this, and what do you think going forward in debating?
Honestly, I'm as surprised as everyone here, and I just realized that I do better when I don't know what the hell we're gonna be asked. So maybe let's do just a whole blind thing next time, so I don't have to think about stuff.
All right, and Jake, you went in with a lot of passion with some of these arguments. Is there anything that you would have changed, or do you just think based on the questions he might have had an advantage, or do you think it was just a great fight and he just had the edge on you? What do you think?
No, Nazario's a better debater than me. I'm okay admitting that. Debating's just, I find it much more of a task than just like trivia. I'm just not good with words. And that's part of the debates, is that you got to know what you're talking about. And the only ones I did good was the ones that I was passionate about, because I love James Bond and I love 2001. So of course I had an edge there because I'm passionate and I don't need a script to follow that. I can just go from my head. So yeah, that's kind of why I won those 2 victories. But no, I'm not good at debating and I know it. So it's like, yeah, congrats to Nazario.
All right, so Brooklyn, this is your first time judging with me. What was your thoughts on this format and this style and these 2 fighters?
This format's really good. I was kind of surprised you did the blind question. Like, I mean, I guess the main event is the main event, so that has to be first. But I was very surprised at Nazario. I did not think he was that great of a debater going in, but man, does he surprise me, and like especially in the blind format where he's able to go off the cuff. Jake, I think if I give any advice to Jake going forward is you gotta listen to your opponent, because I was like, as I was listening to Nazario, I was like, there's so many points that I could bring up, and I'm like, why isn't Jake doing these things? But props to both competitors. It was good.
I don't pay attention.
Well, that is some notes to write for next time. And Cody, what is your thoughts? You competed in one and now you've hosted one. What is your thoughts on this format and these 2 fighters?
I've already said this. I love this format. I think it's a very interesting format where you get to pretty much go to the person's strength, then have to prep a full fight pretty much because it's the main event, and then have total no clue what's coming in the blind fight. So it's very interesting. It's very complex. Yeah, Jake, I like Jake a lot. Me and Jake are, he's one of my favorite people in this community. It's rough when he is doing the debate, when he was like talking about, she's got a sword, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Nazario, just pick up katana. But that's just the debate style. Where I think I'm good at debate. I'm not great at trivia. Jake's the opposite. Jake's really good at trivia. Debate's kind of hard for him. So, because he has so many facts, he just brings them out. Nazario, I'm scared to face because, like Caleb, I like fighting people that get angry and like raise up points and like, because you can just use that against them. But Nazario, like cool, calm, collected during the whole thing, and was just like, that's stupid. That's terrible. I don't know. And like, you believe him, and it pisses me off the entire time. So I was just like, okay, he gets that edge. So yeah, now he's 1-0, and I'm 1-0. So there's a potential at some point, but like that's what I'm a little afraid of right now.
And definitely, and I'm just happy that 2 members of Confidential Cinema going up against each other. I think Nazario got his payback because Jake beat him in trivia, and now he's able to beat him in debate. So now we need to figure out a way how we can settle this grudge match, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And personally, I'm going to be going up against Nazario in a lot of stuff pretty soon, so I can't wait for that. I feel like he finally is getting his fire back because he's been doing kind of poor in trivia lately, up to his standards, and I feel like this is really building up his confidence. So watch out for him in trivia, and also watch out for him in the future of debating, because I think he could really be something in this club. So with that being said, as always, I am Henry Confidential. This is Confidential Cinema. This is our first episode, and at the time of the recording, without any edits, we are 56 minutes and counting, so I think we are doing a really good job with this time limit. We're able to cut it down, so I really appreciate you guys taking your time out once again with the judging and with the fighting. If you guys like this, comment below and let us know, as always, who won each debate in your opinion, what points would you have brought up, how would you have done it better, how did we judge, and so on and so on. And also let us know how you thought this compared to the first debate with Caleb versus Cody. And subscribe to the channel because we have trivia, we have debating, we're going to be posting our Confidential Top 100s real soon, so there's a lot of stuff on this channel that's going to be a lot of fun. So give us some likes and love so people can definitely check out our stuff, because I really feel like we're starting to really earn it. So as always, I'm Henry Confidential. This is Confidential Cinema. Please see us soon because we're going to be debating more and doing trivia, and bye.